Consumer Legal Hour with the Justice Team. Join us on social media at Consumer Legal Hour. Consumer Legal Hour is a community talk show not intended to give legal advice. If you need legal advice, consult a lawyer in your state. Consumer Legal Hour with the Justice Team. Join us on social media at Consumer Legal Hour. Consumer Legal Hour is a community talk show not intended to give legal advice. If you need legal advice, consult a lawyer in your state.
Good evening. We are live on Consumer Legal Hour with the Justice Team, Justina Winfrey, attorney and Reverend Tanya McClary, Reverend Etta Anderson, and our distinguished guest this evening, Jared Arms from Kyler, IO, Shakira Mason, a finance executive in the banking industry, and Mark Anthony, CEO of Transact Trade. We welcome you and thank you for joining us this evening on Consumer Legal Hour. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for having us.
Attorney McClary.
Hey, good evening, everyone. We are so excited about this show because, you know, a lot of times in our communities, we're not as up to speed as other communities on financial issues. So I am so excited to have these brilliant men and women on here today to talk to our communities and just giving you a welcome from Dallas, Texas, Reverend Anderson.
Good evening, everyone. I am so looking forward to this show this afternoon because I concur with Attorney McClary because our community so often seems left behind. So tonight I'm hoping and I'm praying that you all, amen, in this 1 hour will be able to bring us up to speed. So I'm looking forward to it.
Exciting times. Yes, especially with us being in 2021 on the verge of cutting edge technology. Brother Jared Arms, please bring us up to speed with a snapshot of what that's looking like in 2021 and projected in 2022 with blockchain.
Yeah, so for the ones who just getting introduced into blockchain, we have a new technology that's a distributed ledger. And just to say in short, now we can basically send each other like transactions or send each other files, messages, or just digital assets using offline technology that can be coupled with internet services. So a lot of people right now just kind of getting on board with these new .crypto domains, which is like a single domain that's multi-wallet supported. And when we just talking about receiving multiple cryptocurrencies in the near future, just having like a single human readable name around proof of identity, proof of trademark, and things like that is some of the stuff that I'm kind of just speaking about in the last few years. So, you know, I can dive more into it too.
So, Brother Jared, just back up for those who may just be new to this whole thing. Tell us about cryptocurrency. Just go back and just break it down a little bit for our viewers that may not be up to speed on kind of some of the things that you are on the cutting edge of doing.
Yeah. So back in a couple years ago, like in 2008, 2009, there was a cryptocurrency that was released on the technology called blockchain, which I'm sure we are familiar with, called Bitcoin. And you all can think about it as if we wanted to send each other a payment without going through the use of any bank technologies or just federal technologies, how would we do so? So you could think about different, I guess, methods or ways that you can send data. So you can send each other like online to someone a PDF file, a video, or photo, a text message, a link. But you really can't send them the money like that unless you usually go through some type of bank app. You can still use Cash App and PayPal, but to a degree, it's still connected to a bank. So with technologies like blockchain and creating cryptocurrency applications such as Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin, things like that, you can now send each other money without going through bank technologies. And the reason why it's more valuable is just because it has a lower cost, is more secure, and you can send it to people worldwide and things like that. And we can talk more about the little cool fancy stuff with like these non-fungible tokens and all of that stuff. But that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Like if we wanted to send each other money without going through any bank technologies or any use of a bank, how would we do so? Not to try to exclude cash, but when we want to start receiving cryptocurrency, we can't use those traditional systems, and that's where kind of blockchain came on in that. So just think about like if I was to pay you like say like a couple years ago, if you had a product for $1 and you wanted me to send you 4 Bitcoins at the time, because let's say if those Bitcoins was worth 25 cents and now 10, 11 years down the road, they over 50,000, but let's just take it to 20,000. Those 4 coins, you know, could be $80,000 off of $1,000 investment. So now people are interested in starting to either invest or receive some of this Bitcoin and different cryptocurrency. So that's where we come in, that we're just helping them have a human readable name versus one of these alphanumeric addresses. Because every cryptocurrency you have, you got to have a custom alphanumeric address. So if you have a customer that's trying to pay a business and you have a thousand customers that's trying to pay you in 1,000 different cryptocurrencies, then you would have to send them 1,000 different wallet addresses. But now with these .crypto domains, you can just connect those 1,000 wallet addresses to a single domain. So it's going to really make it more simple to receive this crypto in the near future. And you know, you got banks that's starting to jump on it. 100,000 companies in America accepting cryptocurrency right now. So Lamborghini was the first car company to start accepting Bitcoin and stuff. So there's some pretty big companies using it right now.
Wow.
So we definitely need to bring our community up to
You know, I get to
speed.
talking too much. So
No,
Yeah.
it's important. Yes, it's important that our community understands how this works. God forbid the dollar, the United States dollar plummets. Ultimately, people who are, it could possibly affect cryptocurrency. However, the return on the investment regarding cryptocurrency, and let's just, before we touch base on the difference between the token and the exchange rate versus product purchases via token, and whether or not that particular token or crypto coin is registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission, Brother Jared, who will be starting law school soon to focus on blockchain trademark, which is going to be a very interesting and evolving topic, cutting edge technology. Brother Mark, transact trade.
Yes.
And Sister Shakira, let me be clear. You are an empress, you are a goddess, you are a queen. We will save the best for last because you come from the traditional side, but you are the first person who put who put the little bug in my ear about fixing your own credit. So, Brother Mark, transact trade.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
Tell us about how these large volume transactions work and why customers come to transact trade.
Well, Jared hit on a lot of really good points, specifically with the decentralization of banks, ultimately another form to share fiat money amongst ourselves and not having these absorbent amount of fees, and effectively just the government or anybody else looking in at what you got going on, which is anonymity. So at Transact Trade, what we do is we help clients facilitate either the purchase and or liquidation of cryptocurrency, primarily Bitcoin. We also do Ethereum, and pretty much just the top 5 coins. They want to come to us for a few reasons. A lot of people don't understand completely what cryptocurrency is. So they're very reluctant to log on to your favorite apps, Coinbase or Binance. They really want that human element to provide them with that white glove service and really get a better understanding of what's happening. You can imagine, especially understanding that crypto at Bitcoin right now is, I think, like $58,000. most of our clients are institutional clients, so they're spending anywhere upwards of 500,000 to in the millions. So they're not going to want to just trust an application to send their funds to. So we provide, like I said, hands-on white glove service to walk them through the process and make sure they understand and get 100% settlement every single time that they trade. Versus going on an app, when you start purchasing or liquidating large amounts, oftentimes you'll have to wait 1 to 3 days to receive your funds. One thing that we highlight in our services is that we do guarantee same-day settlement. And you can imagine being able to purchase any asset and get that asset the same day is a pretty remarkable turnaround. You can't the largest asset you can buy and get the same day for the most part is really a car. Other than that, you really can't buy. You can't go buy a house and get it the same day. You can't go buy a business and get it the same day. But with Transact Trade, you can effectively perform a very large trade or liquidation and get either your asset or your funds the same day.
That is very helpful to know, and that is a huge concern for most people who are just wanting to enter into this arena and see a return on their investment. They are concerned that, hey, if I put money into Cash App or Coinbase or blockchain, as you've educated me on in the past, how do I get my money back? How do I get that money out of the account? And so many people are just perplexed by that process.
Right, and what ends up happening is nothing. They won't do anything at all. A lot of these apps, they do offer. They have your FAQs and your generally asked questions, but that really doesn't create any more confidence that they had before they looked at those questions. So we really try to be a resource to the world, and especially our community of being a Black-owned business. I've spent the better part of the last 3 years trying to convince my grandmama to buy some coin. She swears she's going to buy someday, but she just won't pull the trigger. I think I'm getting her over the hump as she's seen our company grow, and she's seen me get more versed and more entrenched in the business itself. But I think that's the case with a lot of our people, African Americans, especially the older generation, where they're just not too sure about it, whether they don't understand it. It's that they're choosing not to educate themselves, or they're afraid. So having opportunities like this to come together and really talk about things that people are wondering and kind of eliminate some of that fear and create some more confidence in it is fantastic. So.
Attorney McClary.
So what do you recommend? We have two Bitcoin experts on the line. Mm-hmm. So what do you recommend, Mark and Jared? How should people, that are kind of a little fearful, like you said, that don't really understand it? What are some of the basic steps you think people should take when they want to start venturing into this arena?
Well, Jared, you want me? I'll take that one, I suppose. Just like anything else, research. First of all, we all have supercomputers in the palm of our hand.
Go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
We all have supercomputers in the palm of our hand every day, all day. You can literally Google what is a Bitcoin. Research. If you don't have a smartphone or you don't have access to a computer, really, I'll give you a definition. And this is I give this analogy often. Don't try to figure out the technology behind a cryptocurrency. Just understand that it's an asset that has a value, just like anything else. So if you have a stock, that's an asset with a value. If a company is publicly traded, in theory, you have all the information of what the company is doing, new ideas, new innovations, mergers and acquisitions. You get an idea of what's happening, what's going on. The simplicity of Bitcoin is incredible. You don't have to worry about any of that. And Jared will elaborate on the stability of blockchain technology. Blockchain isn't going anywhere. It's only getting better, bigger, and stronger. So you don't have to worry about the transmission and or the highway, if you will, of what how you're going to get your cryptocurrency or if it's going to fail. The only thing you have to watch is the value go up and down. That's really it. Some things that really affect the value of a coin is utility. And the other basic rule, the other basic principles of stocks, supply and demand. Blockchain technology at the core can be confusing. Don't worry about that. Just understand that this asset is and just look at it simply that way. And I think that's a really good way for people to look at it and get started.
Wonderful.
Brother Jared. Yep, I was going to say, you're right on time. Just help us understand some of the blockchain.
I would say the same thing, just piggybacking up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I would suggest the same thing that Mark was saying. Just Google as much as possible right now. Go on YouTube, Twitter, just read different forums, watch different videos. And if you're interested in learning even more to become a blockchain developer or a consultant, they have a lot of free courses on YouTube or Udacity or Udemy that you can check out too. So I'll say do that for starters. And then for any investors, after you check out a lot of that information, you can start something. You can start with something small by connecting with someone like Mark or myself, or testing something out like $5 or $10 on Cash App. But you can do a lot more than just the little simple investments and things like that. So if you really want to dive deeper into it, just learn much as possible, then connect with a blockchain consultant or an expert, or become one yourself, because it is over a $2 trillion industry. It's growing, and I'm pretty sure to hit over $2 trillion in the near future.
So the point is,
if you guys want to
family,
develop your own cryptocurrencies, smart applications, things like that.
So it's wise to get in now. Case in point.
I'm sorry.
You're all good. It's wise to get in now. Ultimately, Bitcoin shot up to about 62,000 for its value. Many people got in years ago, and at the value of, let's say, 10,000 or 13,000, you can imagine what their wallet looks like right now.
Instant millionaires every day. It's nuts.
God is awesome. God is awesome. Shakira Mason. Yes, he is. And so for our church enthusiasts and our clergy, who are concerned about cryptocurrency and the issues of human sex trafficking and things of that nature, we have a human sex trafficking expert on the line, attorney Helen Wakefield, with us, and we'll touch base shortly on that. Shakira Mason, representing the traditional financial industry with some awesome technological advances to tell us about. How are you today? Please introduce yourself to us, to the group.
Well, it's kind of like my original introduction is 22 years in financial institutions, in every line of business that there is, including most recent wealth management. But I have to reintroduce myself. I also have a financial ministry because I believe the economic wealth gap with Black America is a ministry. And so my ministry is called I Am You. I don't believe in big I's, little U's. My mission and my purpose is to basically, kind of how with medical terminology, it's foreign when you have a doctor speak to you in their language and you don't understand what they're saying to you. I break down the financial terminology, right? I meet people where they are, the information to go from point A to point B, and then we move all the way to Z. A big part of my passion is I do a lot of work with my father around financial health, as he's been a doctor my whole life. You may have heard of him, Terry Mason. And he deals with the physical health. I deal with the financial health, because if you don't have wealth, you can be healthy physically, but you're not going to live well. And vice versa. If you have a bunch of wealth and you're sick, it doesn't make for a good combination. And so I want to take my hats off to the innovators, Mark and Jared. God bless you, Kings. You're on the cutting edge. I'm with you. I support you. I'm definitely going to continue to support and scream your name. But what I will also say is, when I think about financial health, it doesn't start as an adult. It starts with our kids.
Yes.
It starts with peeling the onion back. My son is 9. He knows that the lights don't cut on magically. It's a bill, right? You have to pay, and you have to have responsibility. And so what I think about is our need for the community awareness to understand that community outreach is not just for those who are totally poverty stricken, but our middle class trying to get to upper middle class is where the biggest gap is, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. And so it's access to capital, whether it's commercial lending, whether it's personal lending, whether it's home lending, it's access to capital. And then it's also the ability to understand what to do with your capital and love yourself enough to invest in you before you invest in somebody else or something else. So that's my reintroduction of me.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I Am You, Financial Ministry, NFP. I am, straight out of the Bible. We talked about this recently, Reverend Etta. Can you please speak to that?
This is just amazing, the show that we're having tonight, because you all know what I just finished up with my dissertation, and it's talking about systemic poverty. Help. The system has me trapped. So I'm looking at these different avenues to help us as individuals. This may not be dealing with the system per se, but it's giving us some hope as to how we can help ourselves to come out of the situation. And Shakira, I agree with you, what you just said about the biggest gap being between the middle class and the upper middle class, because a lot of us, we still have our baby toe right there next to poverty. We really think, or we want everyone else to think that we're doing well, but we know the truth. And so to hear these different avenues that we have, and so Jared and Mark Anthony, you're going to have to help the middle schooler here tonight, because I want to understand more about the Bitcoins. But Shakira, there's still those of us who are, we don't want to let that traditional way of handling our finances go. So I'm wondering now, how do we bring the two together?
To be honest with you, I feel for me personally, it's a movement, and how we spend our money tells a bigger story of how we feel about ourselves, right? So most people with real wealth, you don't see it. You're not going to see it in what they drive. You're not going to see it in what they wear. You're not going to see it in their shoes or their purse or they whatever. You're not going to see it. Where it is it becomes generational wealth behind closed doors.
Yes.
And so how I think we can come together is, for me, is the education piece. It's also, when I say it's a public health issue, It is because for years and years and years, even within our own families, when we get a little bit of money, we got to show everybody. Or if we get too much, i.e., another thing and research I've done with athletes, we have the tendency to think we got to fix and take care of everybody in the neighborhood, in the family, and we're obligated to do so. But we just get our toe out the water. We're not all the way out. And then we fall back in because we're trying to carry everybody on the pinky toe. It doesn't work. And so I think it really, really, of all of my research, my major in undergrad was sociology and finance. My master's is in finance. All of my research has shown me that how you feel about yourself and how you value yourself is how you spend your money. It's correlated in the Bible. You pay tithes, you give back to the church because you believe in God. So you putting your money in where your beliefs are. If you believe in no shade but Nike, we got folks out here putting their money with Nike. But then they're 1 to 2 paychecks away from being homeless, literally. So we've got to understand and take a stance and have a voice, which is where I come in to bring that love back and say it's okay. Because most millionaires that you see, you can't look at them and tell that they are a millionaire. Right? You can't. And so even when it comes to whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's traditional, whatever your flavor is, I'm not saying one is greater than the other. But what I'm saying is the stance to take to do something beats it all. And educate yourself to have something different for your next generation that you didn't have. And one of the easiest, I mean the most economical ways to turn your family into multimillionaires is life insurance. But we will pay car insurance. Okay, we're going to have the car insurance. We're going to insure our jewelry. We're going to insure our house. But why we don't insure us enough? That's your life. And I say it all the time to people, if I die tomorrow, my family may be hurt, they may cry, but one thing they will not be is broke. Period. And so we got to start thinking on that scale. We got to say, okay, we're going to leave this bag or we're going to leave these shoes at the store and we're going to pay this premium every month. Then we got to amplify it and say, okay, you know what? My child going to go to college because when they get their birth certificate and that social security number, we can leverage another vehicle of life insurance or other investment vehicles to ensure that that happens, because one reason that they should not go should not be financial, not in 2021 or further. It just should not. We've got to start making a choice and stop giving ourselves love with material things that don't mean nothing at the end of the day, but really give ourselves love with investing in us and our families. Because that's where it starts. It don't start in the bank. It don't start with cryptocurrency. It don't start with anywhere but your house. Plain and simple. And so that's where I am. That's where my push is. And when I see other races that their children will call in and say, I'm buying a house. You think they asking for a mortgage? Daddy is going to leverage his wealth and investments and see daughter or son got a boost because they never had a mortgage bill to pay. Never. And your house payment, mortgage or rent, is usually your biggest payment every month, except for people that got it backwards and think it should be your car. Another conversation. But it's usually that mortgage or that rent. And until, like, personally, my dream that I'm working on is we have trillions of dollars that go through our Black churches. But why we got to bank on somebody else? Why we got to ask somebody for something?
Come on.
Why we can't, if we're going to have a stance, I did an article about how Seaway Bank in Chicago was founded. You know why I did that article? Because my dad was one of the founding members sitting in the Izola's basement in the restaurant on 79th and Rhodes because they couldn't get a loan from the other banks. Nobody would give them. The Callaways, the Caldwells, or Taylor Wright Cleaners, you name it. When it was the Cadillac dealership on Stony Island, They couldn't get along, so they pulled their money together and they made it their way. And I'm all about diversity and inclusion, but much like Malcolm X, we need to understand diversity trumps, because we've gotten so used to being included that we've devalued what we do and who we are and what we sell. When it's black to black, it's what's my discount. But when you walk in a Fortune 500 company and buy something, you pay full price and feel good about it and tell all your friends you spent $3,000 on a Louis Vuitton. I'm just being honest. So until we can overcome that and then take folks like Mark and Jared and say, look, here's another way to go, because you got the why, you got the how, we already know the what. It's just the execution time, period, end of story. And before I leave this earth, it's going to be some change, because I'm not taking nothing less.
Thank you. There it is. There it is. There it is. Yes. So it seems like we should really be thinking about how the celebrities are beginning to connect with groups that are creating platforms, like the platform that Brother Jared has created, like the platform that Brother Mark has created. The fact that Sister Shakira understands how the banking industry can tie directly into blockchain and cryptocurrency, along with Brother Mark, it seems like the celebrities who are at the forefront, like case in point, T.I., who was fined $75,000 by the Securities and Exchange Commission in February, we can take a note, a quick tip from Brother T.I. on that. It seemed in theory what they were doing was wise regarding marketing that particular coin could produce a return on investment. Case in point, you have a brother like Jim Jones, a former rapper who is a multimillionaire right now, and he's invested his money in a brand new token. And that particular group is Zap Life. And I believe Brother Jared is familiar with that group. And I've actually reached out to one of the CEOs, a sister, who developed the app. And what we're learning, and that platform is actually a live streaming platform, in addition to the fact that they've already created a coin. So what they've done is they're not marketing a return on investment. What they're marketing is, we have products, services, and goods for you to purchase through our token and through our coin. And the wise thing regarding the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and the $1 to $3 million that it costs to register that coin, that was the fail that T.I. and his crew did not complete. They missed that step completely. And people have to
Go
ahead, Brother Mark.
Yeah, they missed it accidentally, right? They forgot to register with the SEC. That's hilarious. I just laugh when I hear that. But you know what? Maybe they didn't know.
I don't think
the SEC is a very complicated regulator, and there's, just like the IRS and any other regulatory authority, there's a lot of hoops to jump through, and especially with something so popular, that's something so valuable, specifically as Bitcoin. They're trying to get their hands on it, right? They're really trying to figure out a way on how they can get paid too. There's right now, the most aggressive way they can take their share is through fines. But T.I. is a very intelligent, awesome brother. And I would lean more towards that. Somebody probably did just miss a checkbox, and they just didn't do it. But I just when I hear people forgetting about things and then getting caught rather by the SEC, it just makes me laugh. Just being in the space and constantly hearing terrible horror stories of fees and fines that the SEC is issuing.
I'd like to say something.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'd like to say something.
Please
And
introduce yourself, Sister Helen.
Helen Wakefield. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing else more, unless we talk about it.
I am. Yes.
Yeah, well, that's part of me. So the human sex trafficking thing, yeah, I do that. Can I speak to it? And that's just part of what I've done forever. When people didn't even know what it was back in the early 80s. How it connects with cryptocurrency and whatever, don't know. It could, don't know. But guess what? It could connect with the orange you're buying at the store up the street. All depends. Human trafficking is all over, so I'm not going to really get into that one. What I wanted to talk about was that one of the things that you really need to do is, for anything, go beyond Google and YouTube. I'm on YouTube. All right. Go figure that one, right? So, and go to the source. I tell my young people, whatever it is, take it further. Go to the different libraries and see where those particular documents are filed. And we know as lawyers, shepherdize. What gave rise to it? What was the argument on the floor for it? Dig deeper than just, your Google. My brother, and it's a little bit of a long story, but I think it'll tie in with these brothers. My brother decided he no longer, this is when he was 30, he's now 61, 62, born on the same day, he and Justina. So they're very, how they minds work. He no longer wanted to be a part of the United States, and he wanted his Social Security back, his Social Security money back. However, my brother never worked. He was always off the grid. All right. So I had graduated from law school, and he brought me a stack of papers and he said, "Here, I did all this research." My mother was a librarian, so he could research his face off. He said, "I understand that our Social Security numbers are really a trust account in the World Bank. And all of this here, the boom, boom, dash, boom, boom, bump, is an account. And when we're born, that the United States gets a $30,000 loan on us, and that money is in the World Bank. And it does not move over into the Social Security account until something does what? Trigger it. And so that trigger was the age. So therefore, that trust account could then be opened and moved over to the Social Security account." He said, I found a way through all these documents that it can happen. I can give up my driver's license. I can give up my Social Security card. I don't use it anyway. What is it doing for me? And I can draw down everything. I can trigger the trust to open under the World Bank. My money will be moved over to the Social Security account, and I'll be able to take it. So I looked at it, researched it and everything, and I'm like, "You're right." Got all the paper for him, and he did it. But this is what I told my brother. I said, once it moves over to the Social Security and they release your money to you, if you put it back into an account that is under American jurisprudence, it's going to kick in the same laws. The IRS going to come after you and whatever. Back in the day, you could do a second endorsement. Remember, people used to sign a check over to you and you could deposit in your account. That's out of here. Nobody's doing that anymore. So instead of me telling him where he could take it, and it was not within America, right? Not under our banking system, he decided, now mind you, he was 30 years old now. He'll be 62 in a couple of months. He decides that he's going to have it second endorsed to my mom, put it in her bank account. My mother died 11 years ago when she was 75 years old. My brother just about 3 months ago got a letter from the IRS. They want their money. They want their money, that money. So I'm saying all that to say, TI may have, who knows? I don't know. They come after you, but whatever you do, you have to research it further than YouTube and whatever, and then keep going and digging down, and digging and digging. And I'm all for, like they say, having a diversified portfolio, and use discernment. Hey, say move it. You know what I mean? Close it, move it, do whatever. That's my story on the whole deal.
And just real
If I
quick
could just add really quick, Mark, I'm sorry. If I could just add something, Justina, to your point about the rappers, okay? We mentioned T.I., we mentioned Jim Jones, we can look at MC Hammer, we can look at Nas, okay, that have jumped to the cutting edge of investments in technology. The part that burns my soul is at a moment in time when these rappers were talking about get high, smoke your weed, drink your drink, this be, that, this, whatever. It's all over the media, all over the place, so that our kids could follow suit. But when they decided to step into the financial realm and the technology realm, if you're not invited to Clubhouse, you won't know. Let's be clear. And so that part is what baffles me about our brothers and sisters in the entertainment industry, right? We have got to step up, and they have to start having, whether it's Facebook Live conversations, you don't have to necessarily promote whatever coin you have or whatever investment you have, but you can kick the knowledge, the same knowledge that it took for you to cross over from the quote unquote street dude, I'll use Jim Jones, to now an investor and have an investor mindset, just like you influence people to have the street mindset and pants hanging off their butt. I feel like you obligated to influence our people on the positive activities that it takes and the work it takes to think like an investor. Why can't it be cool to think like an investor? Because it's cool to sip lean according to the radio or whatever else avenue you want to look at. And I think that's where we fall a little bit short as a people.
So what do you suggest they do? What's your suggestion? So
my
how do you do
suggestion
that?
is much like other races. It's a culture thing where just like the power it is to influence negative, you can take that same power and influence positive. And how they can do it is no different than how we're having this conversation right now. It's no different. All it's going to cost them is a little bit of time.
I get that, but that's an obvious answer, right? What is an actual real solution? For example, maybe someone petition the production companies to say, "Hey, listen, rapper, we get it. You're great talent. Along with your contract to produce X amount of albums, we need you to also do a podcast and talk about some positive things." Give me an example like that of like how do you put that
honestly,
into action?
I can't give you that example because my thought would be it is not advantageous for the record companies and the production companies to do that because there's a power thing and who controls what and where the wealth sits. As a people, if Black people accumulate enough wealth and more wealth, we have more political power. We have more power to change this country. So they're not going to do that. I'm saying the onus should be on the artist, the same person that's made the money from the people that bought their records, from the people that went to their concert, that downloaded their this and that and followed them, should be the same people that they say, hey guys, listen, I'm not telling you to buy 1, 2, 3, XYZ. I'm just going to tell you, these are some of the things I'm researching and I'm looking at. Maybe you should too.
And I just want to give an example.
Some do that. Some do that.
I want to give an example even outside of the financial realm. We all remember what happened to Colin Kaepernick. And when George Floyd happened, Breonna Taylor, the brothers from the NFL got together and did a video about police brutality. Like, we're going to speak out. We're not going to continue to allow what happened to our brother to happen to the rest of you guys. And they came out and said, this is wrong, what is going on. And so it's not that I agree with, I agree that there's some ownership that people can take. If we can set up a red table talk and talk about all these other things, then the TIs, the Nas's, the 50 cents, all these, Jay-Z's a billionaire. I mean, come on, why are we doing podcasts about that? I mean, so if we can do so, I mean, I agree. I think some of the onus is on some of our folk that can now make those entrees. I mean, now that we are in the pandemic, how many of us go to Facebook and we see all of these advertisements, like people sign up for my free seminar about financial wealth and all this? How many I haven't seen any of us on those topics.
I want to say something. I think that because Chance the Rapper is a family friend. That is my brother's godson. Okay, named after my brother and everything. My brother was murdered. So the one with the song, blah, blah, blah. And so that's kind of whatever. So that's my family. When his dad, actually, Ken Bennett, was actually the chief of staff for Barack Obama. So Ken called me and he said, you walked away from law. If I walk away from the White House, what are they going to think about me? But my son wants to be a rapper. He said, a rapper, Helen. After all we went through, a rapper. And so what happened is that Chance, actually, the only way that Chance was able to get a Grammy was because we found out that there was a person pirating his music, right? But it's a bunch of lawyers. So we said, let it roll. You get them once they get the million, right? Why you gonna get them when they're just making $5? Wait till they really make some money and hit them. Well, what happened? They made that money, but you can only be nominated for a Grammy if you sold records. So with that being said, on the back end, what people didn't know, and you may not know, Chance does so much as far as financial whatever with young people. Rolls up in the hood with his hat on, like, yo, whoop-de-woo. It's a lot of them that do. And then I have been in the room, privileged to be in the room with some of them. And I understand that they're like, man, I get on and I get all the weight of the whole Black community on me. I can barely make it. I'm not really making any money. Half of those guys that are sitting on the bench in the NFL, they're poor. They did a thing on 30-30 or whatever, 30 by 30, whatever it is. They talked about most of them are poorer than poor. And so they don't even know. They have to teach them what to do. But they feel that weight. They said the same weight is not put on, Caucasians or whatever. They make it, they give back. But they feel like everything is put on them and they have to carry it. So.
And I agree. I know that there are a lot of entertainers that do a lot, but I also think that weight, especially in entertainment and rap industry, the same weight that we're talking about putting on them to help from a positive perspective. And I'm not saying give money. I'm saying give your time, give your knowledge, right? It's to me an accountability factor when you're telling them, okay, you popping Percocet. Like, I mean, you're putting this out in the atmosphere. And these young people are not just living and want to be like you, but they want to be like the words that you say, whether you do it or not in real life. And so there's some accountability there that either A, they need to stop doing it, or B, change the message. Because right now, my generation, I'm 42. The one behind me and the one behind them, I'm real concerned about. Because if we don't get some onus and accountability and they step up, financial is only one piece. All of this that we're talking about is public health, whether it's your freedom, whether it's the laws and the systematic oppression that's there, whether it's your diabetes, whether it's your hypertension, whatever that is, it's all something that's holding us from being our best selves. And I thank God for people just like all of you here today, because you're fighting the good fight to say you can be your best use and your best self, and let me be a resource. So I thank God for all of you.
And I thank God for you guys too. I think that what was said earlier is probably a big key in my life. You start with, your 4 and some more, start at home. Because I and Justine and I know, man, giving to the people will kick you in the head, boy. The people will fight you. You will get so tired of the people. You'll be like, ooh, the people. And I'm talking about giving up your time, talent, money, everything. And you just doing it out of the goodness of your heart. So I understand the people. So I'm just saying.
And I just want to say, Sister Helen, I understand the two sides of it too, but to be honest with you, we do have a bigger calling. Look at the condition of our people, how we were brought here. We have always had to overcome more. So yeah, I agree with Sister, Shakira. I'm not saying that you need to go out here as somebody that has made a Black community, just give all your wealth away. But what about the knowledge? I mean, our people built the pyramids. We bring knowledge. I'm not even talking about putting no dollars on the table. But I think that we do have a higher. I think we have to.
And you
I think we do have a higher.
Here. Right, and you preach into the choir here.
I think
you know
the
what I mean?
point is, at this point, it seems like instead of waiting on the celebrities, these conversations that we're having, as we continue, Brother Jared has a following of a couple of thousand people on just one page alone. So case in point, as we continue, he has a podcast. As we continue to educate our people, as we continue to get together, and yes, we preach to each other. We have to continue to preach to the people, right? As we get the information and the knowledge on this. And yes, to hold the celebrities accountable, because as we reach out to them, some of their egos are extremely inflated, which means that either they're not as educated as we think that they are in this arena, or again, Jay-Z said it best. There are less of us at the top, and he likes it like that. That crab in a barrel mentality, and I get that, Sister Tanya. Sister Helen, working with the people,
the struggle is real.
Who don't
the
have
struggle is real.
And once you position them with the skill set that God is giving you, they tend to feel a sense of entitlement. And I'm from the west side of Chicago, so I can speak truth to power on this. From the south side to the west side, in any city or state, when it comes to our people, we have to understand and know that we must, like Sister Shakira said, love each other. We must respect each other. We must continue to give each other the information and advocate for our people. So what does that mean? A group, an investment group, not an investment group that's going to land you in jail for 30 years like one of the attorneys out of Chicago who had a radio show because he missed a step. He missed a step, and he was a good brother, but they slammed him because he missed a step. So the point is, what are solutions? Educating our people, not necessarily charging our people for this information. You have a brother, Will Roundtree. He advocates heavily for credit restoration. You have some brothers, EYL, Earn Your Leisure. They are not reaching directly into the pits of the community. They're looking to people like us to reach into the pits of the community. They've reached a certain place where they're not necessarily reaching back. And rightfully so. You don't want to turn around and turn into a pillar of salt. I don't. So as we continue to uplift our people and educate them, we invite them in so that they can begin to invest the way that we have. All we can do is show them. We can't make them drink the water, right?
And that's what I just want to clarify too. When I was talking earlier, I wasn't talking about just the people that we know. All of us are celebrity in some kind of way. I'm a pastor, so I might be the celebrity of my church, right? So there's the onus on me to maybe bring a workshop to my church about financial wealth or whatever. So I think earlier I was dropping names, but I don't mean just the celebrities that we, wake up and see on TV. I think all of us have influence. Like Brother Jared, she just said, you got this podcast with thousands of people. So even us in this meeting today have influence. How are we using that influence? And I do feel like there is a burden on us to do some of that. And it's not an easy burden, but I think, when we have some kind of prominence, whatever it be, however we define it, we always have to carry our people. That's just.
Well, let me start by saying this. I am you. Justina has all of my contact information. If you want somebody to come to your church, come on a Zoom, come do a 2-step with a double Dutch rope, that's me. I will come. I will meet people where they are. I will give the information. I will lead with love. I will end with love. And either they just going to have to love me or my discernment is going to move them away. But that's a whole nother conversation. And I don't need money for it. I got a job to give me money. It's my passion. It's what God called me to do. So if you need someone, reach out. I'm here. Know that I will do it. I'm putting it out there right now.
Amen. And I want us to understand on this line tonight that we all have a prophetic voice. We have a prophetic voice, and we have a responsibility to speak truth to power. And it does not, everybody's platform is not the same. There are some that can reach the masses. There are others where it's a small gathering that you have, but you have that responsibility nonetheless to speak truth to power. So Shakira, believe me, we're going to be contacting you so that you can do a Zoom and you can speak to the people. But then, Sister Helen, you got to understand, people like Chance the Rapper. God has put you in a position. He has strategically placed you there. It's not only Chance that you have an influence on, but it's his cohorts as well. So we just got to be able to learn to utilize the platforms that we have, and we have to appreciate the platforms that we have, no matter the size that they are. We have to appreciate, because it will make a difference.
I agree. I have an Images program. It stands for Individual Management Achievement Goal Essential Skills. It's on Amazon. You can buy the book for $11.99. And if you want the course, you can have me. That's why I am on YouTube, and as Miss Helen says. So, and definitely, it's a career personal development program, and it's been funded. It's all over. And one of the things I do on there, there's a money management quiz that all young people take to see how they think of money and what money thinks of them. So that I just don't talk about all the stuff that I do.
And we definitely need that.
I just do what I do.
We need that for our young people. Well, we need it too, but I'm just saying, young people, it's important.
It's targeted for young ladies 11 to 19, 24 and over that are juvenile justice and foster care exposed and involved.
Awesome.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
We are wrapping up. We have to do our 30 seconds of empowerment for the people. We're going to just go around and offer 30 seconds of empowerment for the people. Attorney McClary, can you kick it off for us, please?
I just say that, to who much is given, much is required. And so I just want anybody that's watching us tonight to know you have some level of influence, even if it's just sitting at Big Mama's table on Sunday around your family and they listen to you. That's your sphere of influence. So do never shy away from talking about what you know or from asking good questions, so you can help the others right there in your own family at the table, or whether it's in the neighborhood or whatever it is. So I want all of our viewers to know tonight, especially our viewers of African descent, that you have power and influence, and you need to use that to uplift our people. I'm going to kick it over to Brother Jared. Brother Jared, 30 seconds of wisdom for us. And then you got to pass it on to somebody after that, Brother Jared.
Okay. So just some wisdom. I'll say do what you love and the money will follow. I'll just say a couple of quotes and stuff like that. People usually choose familiar misery over foreign happiness. So make sure you just follow your passion in your heart like that. Continue to read and learn as much as possible. Reading is fundamental. Learn your science and your math. Math and science is like the top 2 universal languages. And just in case you're focusing on like a future project, I like what Shakira said earlier. Right, today I think we not just focusing on only finances, but we're talking a lot about finances. But it's a lot of different areas to do just to kind of help out with humanity and just with the planet and things like that. So if you could just focus on something for humanity or a planetarium type of project, I think those would be some great things just to help out with any area.
Amen. Awesome.
And I'll pass it out to Sister Helen.
Okay, so I would say, move and live in your greatness And if you feel like you're odd and you're an innovator, or a visionary, embrace it. I've been that all my life. And one thing that a friend of mine told me, who was an attorney and an anthropologist, he said, as long as you can provide air, water, food, shelter, and some entertainment, you'll be all right.
Sister Helen, you got to pass it on to somebody.
Brother Mark Anthony.
Brother Mark, are you still with us?
I am. My mic, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you now.
So I had a friend of mine who's a mentor to me, and he doesn't even know he is, but he's just a phenomenal human being. He sent this to me last night. It says, you are not what happens to you. You are how you respond to it. And I think that touches on so many, or speaks to so many different things that we talked about tonight in regards to some of the challenges that our people are having. All sorts of bad things happen to us, but how we respond to them is really who we are, and what makes us and identifies the true being in ourselves. So just stay positive, stay on the right track if you possibly can. And if you need help, ask for it. And praise God, love God. God is great. That's just facts. I can't speak enough about God. Love him. Thank you, guys.
Brother Mark, you got to pass it on. You got Justina, Reverend Anderson, and Shakira still to go.
Shakira, take the mic, please.
All righty. I would say a few things. Live in your purpose on purpose. I will say sit down sometimes, be quiet, be still, listen to what God says to you and speak to you. You can't operate in confusion, so you got to be still and have a clear mind. The last thing I would say is go with discernment and grace. If you want to receive grace, give grace. And understand that everybody may not be where you are, but you are them just as I am you. And so there's no big I's or little U's. And when you think about I am you, that's God is you. Because we all got God in us, which makes us one. And with that, thank you all. And I'm going to pass it to, let's see, Reverend Etta.
Thank you, Shakira. I just want to say, I get to know your voice. Learn your voice. And do not be afraid to speak. Allow Holy Spirit to speak through you, and lives will be changed, and systems will be changed. But we can't be afraid to speak. So get to know your voice. And with that, I turn it over to you, Sister Justina.
Thank you. As we get ready to close out this evening, I pray that our community continues to keep open ears, an open mind, and an open heart to embrace this new wave of technology so that we can continue to move forward and that we're not left behind. Because again, the social injustices that continue to occur, the systemic red tape, we understand that all of this is intentional and it creates crimes of poverty. And that's why sisters like Reverend Attorney Tanya McClary are at the forefront as the police monitor for the city of Dallas. And this is why I continue to heavily advocate for the city of Chicago having a police monitor so that we can focus on ensuring that our people are safe and ensuring that our communities are safe and thriving and no longer looking like a war zone. God bless you all. Have a wonderful evening. And as we close out on Consumer Legal Hour with the Justice Team, everyone be safe out there. God bless you all. Thank you.
Consumer Legal Hour with the Justice Team. Join us on social media at Consumer Legal Hour. Consumer Legal Hour is a community talk show not intended to give legal advice. If you need legal advice, consult a lawyer in your state.